Thank you for joining us. My name is Molly Wyrens, and I'm a pastoral associate here, and I will offer the reflection today. Without seeing you, we love you. Without touching you, we embrace. Without knowing you, we follow. Without seeing you, we believe. Well, we certainly have been living out the definition of this song over the last month. As we've been socially distancing ourselves apart from one another, hopefully we have been still feeling like we are united. Whether it's been through these liturgies, on video, phone calls from family and friends, whatever it's been, we have been led to let our faith work in ways that are quite different and hopefully strengthened, but in ways that we would not have imagined last Easter. In being apart, we are hopefully together. Our gospel for today, on this second Sunday of Easter, which is also called Divine Mercy Sunday, is the story of Thomas and his refusal to believe that Jesus had been resurrected. The first part of the story has Jesus meeting with 10 of the 12 apostles. Judas and Thomas were absent. He breathes the Holy Spirit upon them all. And when the apostles see Thomas and tell them about seeing Jesus, he does not believe them. And can we really blame him? We can almost hear Thomas saying, "Look, I was already fooled once when I believed and followed this man, and now look where that's gotten me. I'm not going to take that again." But the following week, Thomas is with all the apostles, and Jesus shows up unannounced, as he does so often. He invites Thomas to touch the wounds of his side and of his hands, and Thomas is all in. He responds, "My Lord and my God." And then Jesus offers us that line that we should all remember. Blessed are those who have not seen, but have believed. We have not been able to participate in the Eucharist or go to reconciliation or share the sign of peace with each other, and yet we believe. The time after Jesus was crucified must have been so unsettling and scary for the apostles. How come this man, who was the miracle worker and Son of God, not be able to save himself from this terrible death? We too may be feeling a sense of what the apostles were feeling as we try and wrap our heads around what's happening with COVID-19. We do not know where it is leading, nor when it will end. No one has enough answers for our questions. Certainly, there has also been a time of doubting for many of us. Many of us didn't want to believe that COVID-19 was going to be that bad. Some didn't know why we were making such a fuss. Some people don't like the government's overreach in shutting down businesses and calling us all to shelter in place. However, we are seeing that it was indeed all warranted. Many lives have been saved, and many, all of us, have been affected. We are seeing Catholic social teaching lived out as we stand in solidarity for the common good by physically distancing ourselves from others. Doubting Thomas teaches us to be open to our own fears and doubts, and also our disbelief. He wants us to know that Jesus prevails even in the deepest darkness. We should have compassion for Thomas because we too fear reality. We can only bear so much disorientation, and we've had our share of feeling disoriented. But Jesus says, "Touch my wounds and believe." We meet the risen Christ when we touch the wounds of the world. Unless we touch the wounds of the world, this story of doubting Thomas remains just that, a nice story. We meet the risen Christ and discover God in the midst of our work with those who are on the margins. Once we touch the wounds of Jesus, we set off on a different route that will hopefully be different than the story we've been currently living. And hopefully that story will be more about others instead of ourselves. That it will have us checking on our neighbors more, paying attention to who gets medical care and who does not, making sure that people are fed and sheltered, not because they have earned it, but because of the shared message of resurrection. That resurrection message that pushes us to resist the cultural norms we are part of, that say the one with the most toys wins. Bigger is always better. Being busy means I am important. Money means happiness. The resurrection norm means that all are holy and all are part of the reign of God. Values like compassion, kindness, humility, hope, mercy are what are the most important to practice. As I said, this is designated as Divine Mercy Sunday. One of my favorite definitions of mercy is from a Jesuit priest, Father Keenan, who has said, mercy is the willingness to enter into the chaos of another. Reaching out to people on the margins is really messy, but it is where we are called to be. A college professor of mine once was fond of saying, we are Easter people in a Good Friday world. It reminds us that our resurrection, joy, and hope does not stop the day after Easter. We get to celebrate for 50 days until Pentecost. And in those 50 days, what is it that we might do to show that not just COVID-19 is changing us, but that the resurrection of Jesus Christ is changing us? How will we be different? Will we share the vaccine of love and compassion and mercy with those we meet in new ways? How will we be able to say, like Thomas, my Lord and my God, and truly believe without having to see?
I'm not sure if you can see my vestment closely, but there's an image of a butterfly on it. Can you tell that? It's imposed on that. I think that's a wonderful image as Molly reflects for us. And the whole idea of us emerging from our doubts and fears. Just like a caterpillar really has to struggle to get out of the cocoon or chrysalis. And then wonderful things happen. So I believe that we also, as Molly said, we are called to emerge from our fears and doubt. As she mentioned, we are an Easter people in a Good Friday world. So as we continue to celebrate the grace of God around us, even in the midst of being, kind of confined and put down like a cocoon, we recognize life is being offered us. Hope is being offered us. And we're not to doubt. Not to be like Thomas saying, when is this going to end? How am I ever going to get my life back together? But as Molly talked about, we're invited to be